The theme of this year's festival is everyone has a story. A lot of people have said that. My dad said it on repeated occasions, and he's not the only one that said such a thing, but he is one of the few ones that did something about it. This community, this state, is the bedrock. Nothing happens without Utah. And the festival is finding a new home. And I invite you to join us in that new experience because sometimes you need to change your landscape to understand what you're made of. But the heart of the organization stays here in this remarkable place. And the reason for that is that, we will continue to innovate here in state. As artists' needs change, so does the organization. We don't stay rigidly affixed to what was. We look out in the landscape and find out, well, what do we have to do next? What do we have to do to serve our artists? Because our artists are going to change the world. They're going to show us that mom in a place that we have never been, that we've never thought of. And we're going to look at that mom and we're going to say, I know you. How do I know you? And the only way that that happens is through storytelling. And the only way that that storytelling happens is through things like Harbor Fund. It's the abundance that comes with getting behind these stories that has this weird way of creating wealth in so many different ways. And it's a proof of concept. And we cannot do it without the brave souls that come forward and go, this is crazy. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to do it anyway. And Harbor understands that, and it's an exciting time to have people go, okay, well, this hasn't really worked very well. This film financing thing isn't really, we need to figure out what the blind spots are. And so I'm really excited to see what they bring to the table, and I'm excited for their support. We have my partners, Sky Emerson and Annie Kwan, who wrote the film Salt and Honey that we're going to be shooting in a month in Helper, Utah. I invite you all to come see us. And it's a love letter to this state, and it's a love letter to that town, and it's a love letter to the endangered species of small town America. And the contribution of Harbor Fund is going to help us tremendously. And it's also a proof of concept. So we get to say these guys got behind us, you should too. So we really appreciate that. So I invite you to come out and see the films that they're getting behind and get behind the Harbor Fund too, because it's that engine that drives culture. It's a good time to use that for us to be able to have conversations that, that sail across arbitrary lines. We all have so much in common. Harbor knows this. I mean, okay, everybody raise your hand that likes parking tickets. Everybody raise your hand that worries about their kids, worries about their parents. There's so much we have in common. And that's the thing that unites us. And that's what storytelling does. So thank you.
We were looking to do our next Harbor Film Forum, this gathering. I mean, think of it like if you had a Shark Tank, benevolent one, nobody being rude. Um, and then if you had that and a charity gala and then adult summer camp, that's the Harbor Film Forum. It's very fun. I highly recommend attending. But we put this on and we were considering where to do our next one. And Mark Burnett, who's on our advisory board, he basically invented live unscripted television, arguably the most successful television producer in our modern era. And he said, you need to step in the void of Sundance leaving and do it here. And I was talking to Geraldine Dreyfus, who's on our advisory board, and I said, why don't we do it at Sundance Mountain Resort? Which, for those of you who know, this is the birthplace, as Amy mentioned, such a sacred place. And it is a vortex of beautiful energy and so much goodness. And so that's where we're hosting it. So this is our announcement tonight to share that we'll be bringing the Harbor Film Forum this summer to Utah. So with that, we went and spoke to Jeff, and he's here to talk a little bit about what's next for Utah and our partnership. And without further ado, can you please, everybody, give a round of applause for Jeff Moss?
The governor, unfortunately, was able to make it tonight. We just started the legislative session, but he is very excited about this initiative. He's very excited about what Harbor Fund is doing. This is a huge deal for the state of Utah. I also want to mention to Amy Redford, I am so grateful for her family, for her and for her continuing the legacy of Robert. I had the joy as a young kid. My mom was an art professor, and she served on the Utah Arts Council, and we would get invited to a lot of the events up at Sundance. And I remember seeing, Robert Redford there, and my mom always was like so it was reverence around all the great things that he was doing to support artists, right? And my mom would always make sure that I remembered that I was a business person. She'd always say, "Don't forget the creatives." And I realized as I got older, the creatives are the ones that are really making a huge difference in the world. They're the ones that are building amazing things, and they're thinking of things that have never existed before and making a huge impact on people's lives. And so I'm so grateful for the legacy of Robert Redford. And I really mean this. He put Utah on the map. I travel all over the world, and a few things that people remember us for: the Olympics, the jazz, Sundance. And it's really made a huge impact on the state of Utah. And I am so grateful for Harbor Fund and for them being able to continue to drive this, helping support these wonderful, incredible, creative people that are telling stories that need to be told, that are making an impact on people's lives. And so just very excited to support the initiative. Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you so much to Lindsay and to Harbor. This project of ours, Evicted, is based on a Pulitzer Prize winning book by Matthew Desmond. Came out about 7 years ago. Matthew went into Milwaukee and embedded there, essentially. And from his research, he wrote this incredible book that unpacks the eviction crisis in America. This is very personal for me. Sorry. When I was a kid, my family, being actors, it's a very difficult business. And we suffered. This is being an actor is a very difficult thing. And so there were many years where finances were difficult. And so my parents, when I was 13, lost their home. And the kind of emotional fracturing that I saw happen in my family was monumental. It was not just about the finances, it was the fissures that sort of went through the earth of my family. So when I read this book 7 years ago and I had this really profound reaction that I'm surprising myself it's hitting me right now, I immediately had to go after it. And there's been very few things in the past 7 years where I have felt that deep cosmic cellular pull to be involved in something. It's been a long, hard road to get this off the ground. And Lindsay and Harper have been unbelievably kind and generous in their support, both financially and socially, introducing us to people who are now our partners in this film. I think, as Amy was talking about earlier, the power of what we do as filmmakers, whether it's in the nonfiction or the fiction space, is really to remind people that we are not alone. This is one of those stories. And that moment that I had reading Evicted on my couch about people in Milwaukee suffering from eviction to essentially a privileged white kid in California and Los Angeles, the fact that I felt that pull across many, 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 many miles. And in reading it, we could look at one another and basically say, I know you, That's the pull that I feel from this piece of material.